All right, everybody, welcome back. So get this, thousands of Kenyans lined up recently for jobs in Qatar.
Yeah.
Thousands, can you imagine? We're talking massive lines, all for the chance to work abroad.
It's a pretty compelling story when you think about it, the lengths people will go to for a better life. And it raises some really interesting questions about global job markets.
Yeah, exactly. Like, how do these international labor agreements actually work? And are they really beneficial for both countries involved? That's what we're diving into today, all those big questions about Kenya and Qatar.
Right, because on the surface, this looks like a win-win. Kenya has a lot of skilled workers looking for jobs, and Qatar needs manpower for its booming economy. But is it really that simple?
Well, let's break it down. I've been poring over some reports, first-hand accounts, official statements, all that good stuff. And the starting point is this deal that Kenya and Qatar struck up. It was to send, get this, over 8,000 Kenyan workers to Qatar.
Wow, 8,000.
Yeah, that's a lot of people. And to make it happen, they held these huge recruitment events. Can you picture the scene? Hundreds of people, all vying for those spots.
I bet it was pretty intense.
Oh yeah, lots of anticipation, probably some anxiety mixed in there too.
Well, that makes sense. Whenever there's a big opportunity like this, there's always the risk of people trying to exploit the situation.
That's exactly what happened. As they started looking into it, officials uncovered a bunch of scams and exploitation attempts targeting those job seekers.
It's unfortunate, but not surprising, right? I mean, think about it. You have people who are desperate for a better life, and they're willing to take risks.
Makes them vulnerable.
Exactly. They might not be as cautious. They might be more willing to believe promises that sound too good to be true.
Yeah, it's like this perfect storm. You've got that desperation, plus maybe a lack of information about how these things really work.
Right. A lot of people might not know their rights as workers abroad. They might not even know what questions to ask or what red flags to look out for.
And that's where the scammers come in. And from what I've been reading, it wasn't just small-time stuff either. Cabinet Secretary Alfred Mutua, he uncovered some pretty serious schemes.
Oh, really? Like what?
Well, some agencies were demanding crazy fees, like 100,000 shillings just for a chance at a job.
Wow, that's outrageous.
Yeah, and in some cases, they were even confiscating people's passports. I mean,
Yeah.
can you imagine? You go there hoping for a better future, and then you end up trapped with no way to get home.
It's awful. It's like they're preying on people's hopes and dreams.
Absolutely. But thankfully, Mutua didn't just sit back and let it happen. He issued a strong warning to those scammers. He said, and I quote, "You are not going to con our people and get our people to kill themselves because of stealing from them."
Yeah, he definitely sent a message.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. It shows that the government is taking this seriously. But that begs the question, what can they actually do to prevent this kind of exploitation?
Well, one crucial thing is regulation. They need to make sure that recruitment agencies are properly licensed and vetted. There should be clear guidelines about fees, and they should enforce those rules.
So basically making it harder for those shady operators to slip through the cracks.
Right, make it less appealing for them to even try. And it's also important to create ways for people to report these scams and exploitation attempts, and to actually investigate and address those complaints.
Yeah, it's one thing to have rules, but you got to enforce them too.
Exactly. And it's not all on Kenya either. International organizations focused on labor rights and migration, they have a role to play too. They can help ensure that there are strong agreements in place and that workers have the right protections.
Okay, so that's the government and international side of things, but what about the people who are actually looking for these jobs? What can they do to protect themselves?
Well, this is where information and education are super important. Governments can team up with those good recruitment agencies, the ones that are operating ethically.
Oh, right. Mintua did mention that there are some good agencies out there.
Right. So they can work together to spread the word about what to look out for, how to tell if an agency is legitimate.
So it's like arming people with knowledge so they can make informed decisions.
Precisely. There are some basic things people can check, like, is the agency licensed? Are there any online reviews? That kind of thing. And of course, if something sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah, always a good rule of thumb.
Definitely. And another thing that can help is pre-departure training. It's basically like a crash course on what to expect when working abroad. It can cover things like their rights as workers, local customs, and who to contact if they run into problems.
So they're better prepared before they even set foot in Qatar.
Exactly. That kind of preparation can make a huge difference. It's not just about finding a job. It's about making sure people are safe and protected,
Right.
and that they have the resources to navigate a new environment.
That's really important. And it sounds like Kenya is trying to make things more accessible for everyone. Michua announced a plan to decentralize the whole recruitment process.
Oh, that's interesting. What does that mean exactly?
Well, instead of just having these big events in major cities, they're going to start taking them to more rural areas.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, I thought so too.
I mean, it's about making those opportunities available to more people. Not everyone can afford to travel to the city for a job interview.
Right. And who knows, it might even help boost the economy in those rural areas.
Exactly. It's a win-win. More people get a chance at a better life. And those communities benefit too.
So it's a mixed bag, isn't it? You've got these huge opportunities, but also real risks involved.
Yeah, it's definitely a complex issue. There's no easy fix.
But it sounds like Kenya is taking some positive steps in the right direction. And it's really encouraging to see them prioritizing the well-being of their workers.
Absolutely. And I think the key takeaway here is that everyone has a role to play. Governments need to create a fair and ethical system. Agencies need to be responsible and transparent. And individuals need to be informed and empowered.
Yeah, it's a team effort. Well, that was quite a deep dive. Thanks for breaking it all down.
My pleasure. It's always a good conversation.
Always is. And for everyone listening, remember, knowledge is power. Stay informed, do your research, and don't be afraid to ask questions. Your safety and well-being are worth it.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Thanks for joining us.